When you were running Gym Launch, did community feel like a really obvious thing that increased a lot of value for users? Like, I'm wondering if that...
Oh, yeah. So this is really interesting. So Sam owned consulting.com, which was a relatively large education business. And he found something really interesting, which is, I think, one of the catalysts for him actually innovating the product that would eventually become Skool, is that when he looked at his user data, he saw that people would buy a course, but they would log in, they'd watch a handful of videos, and then they would spend the rest of their time in the group. And so they would make content in the group, they'd ask questions in the group, almost everything. The community really was the group, way less so the course. But everything that was out there was focused on building the course rather than the community being the core component. And so he flipped the priority and said, well, what if we made community the main thing and just had all the things that people like that surround communities as, I want to say add-ons, but like integrated into it, but the community is the hub. And so, yes, with Gym Launch, the community was obviously a huge part of it. I think it works with any kind of business that's service related or education related. Like, I still consider the gyms semi-education because a lot of people are there trying to learn more about how to eat healthy, work out better, learn form, learn cooking recipes, meal prep. There's a lot of other things that go into that lifestyle. And so a useful question for any business owner is like, what lifestyle am I bringing people towards? And so like if I were teaching music, there's a musician's lifestyle. There's probably like a way that they schedule their time. There's tools that they use. There's ways that they practice. All of those things go along with the identity that someone would have as a musician, as somebody who's a fitness person, as an author, right? And so one of the great like business strategies is think like, what is the I am statement that accompanies my product? So like I am A, and then what comes along with that? And so if you can build a community around that of people who also identify with that label, you have a much deeper connection with them because they all identify the same way.
How does making a school group or taking this business model compare to, let's say, something like dropshipping or e-commerce, like any other thing that
Yeah,
do?
It depends on the goal, right? And so if you're trying to make money on the internet, you want the thing with the simplest business model that has the lowest risk and the fewest moving parts. And I think Skool has that. I would say I'm quote biased because I'm a co-owner, but like I honestly, I would never risk my reputation to say something I just wouldn't do it. So you can choose to believe that or not. From a selling perspective, if you wanted to have like a big exit in a business, you have to prove that you have an asset that is sellable that works without you. Now, a school community or community in general, if it's built off the face of a founder, is going to have the same issues of key man risk that any business that is built on a founder would have. And so you would have to build a school community differently if you had that intention. Now, the vast majority of people that consume my stuff are trying to just make a lot more money than they currently are, whether they're by quitting their job to start something or within their business, they just want to grow it. Now, some people want to sell, which, hey, acquisition.com, that's what we're here for. Give us a call. The main thing that someone wants to buy in a business is long-term recurring revenue. Is you want to know that the people that are paying today are going to pay 4 years from now. And so Skool isn't, is it a sellable asset or not a sellable asset? It's just like any other recurring business. How good you are at it will dictate how recurring it is and how valuable it is. And so I'll give you an example. There's let's say an acquaintance of mine who has a business that services mechanic shops. So really niche, he's got 10 locations, so he knows what he's doing. He's not somebody who like started one, wasn't making money, and then started, like those who can't do teach. He didn't go that model. Like he has 10 locations, he's legit, he's done a handful of roll-ups, like a very legitimate player. And because he is legit, he has a business that does, I think, just under $50 million a year, all on recurring community, right? And so if you have a niche expertise that has super high value, and compared to everything else in the marketplace, you have all these benefits that no one else has, people will stay and they'll continue to pay. And this guy is growing every single year. And so if I'm looking to acquire a company, yes, I'm super interested. Now on the flip side, if you create a community and you don't provide value and people cancel in 2 months, then no, it's not going to be valuable. You'll make an income because you'll know how to market and you'll convert you just do number of new conversions per month times average order value, and you'll get how much money you're going to make in terms of income. But I would say this is that if you're trying to get going, don't worry about that. Get the first dollar across the bridge. You'll learn so many skills in just doing that. The next steps will become clear to you once you take the first steps. Because it's really easy to get overwhelmed in the beginning. Just get the first dollar across the line.
You have a huge international audience.
Yeah.
And I wonder if part of this was being able to make business accessible to people who weren't.
Dude, 1,000%. Yeah. So we have right now 50% or something like that of our total audience is international. And so having something that could also service all of those people was a huge boon to why this also made sense for me. Versus like if I had a physical product thing and we were only in the US, then I would automatically cut out probably 70% of the people that I could potentially help. Oh, and this is, yeah, and a great point too, is that if you make content on the internet, for example, as a way to get customers, you will also have a certain percentage of your audience that is international. And having like a community, for example, as long as everyone speaks the same language, you can provide value to them without having to worry about international borders, the tariffs, taxes, like you don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Believe me, I've done international shipping, it's a nightmare.
Also, anyone can join the Skool Games and read your posts and potentially come out to the headquarters.
Yeah.
Versus becoming a portfolio company is at least.
Yeah, and one of the other things that I thought was kind of cool is obviously the only companies that we like really directly interact with are companies that we own. But by having the Skool Games and the top 10 every month of the Skool Games, and the cool thing about the Skool Games, not to push this too hard, but is that it's off of new recurring revenue, meaning it's not like, oh, these guys have been doing school for 5 years and they win every month. If you win, you get taken off, number one. And number two, it's based on the new added revenue. So you can start. And in fact, March of last month, I think 4 or 5 of the people who won started that exact month. Now, some people started a handful of months ago and then like took it seriously. They like went pro. Like they were like, this is the month I'm gonna try and win, and they really pushed it. And then they did get on the top 10, and then they're flying out to Vegas to hang out, talk about growing their business. But like 4 of them, literally like they're like, yep, I saw an ad.